Hey everyone, as you've probably worked out, I've not been walking and talking Tottenham. I am still happy to sit and talk Tottenham, but I haven't been out walking because I'm on holiday. So when you're on holiday, you kind of think, well, I'll take it a bit easy. It's a bit too hot here to go walking, but I have been working hard, digging and painting and things like that. So, it's not like I've really let it go. But, anyway, I'm not going to talk about transfers at the moment because nothing's actually been agreed yet or announced. But what I am going to do is I'm going to respond to a question that I was asked by Rob Patterson, who said, who is your top players for Tottenham over the Premier League years? And so I kind of had a bit of a go through it, and I have to say there are some really decent individual players, but not necessarily in great teams, but individual players who could have done a good job for us. So here's a quick rundown of what I would go for. Okay, so goalkeeper has to be Hugo. I think the fact is he's been with us 10 years. He's won the World Cup. He's won the Nations League. He's been a great servant. The only other goalkeeper that's kind of had any kind of level of service to us for that period is actually Ian Walker, believe it or not, from 1991 to 2001. Only had 7 other goalkeepers to choose from. So for me, absolutely stand out. Hugo has to be the man. So right wing back, Kyle Walker. Left wing back, Danny Rose, because on their day they were, considered the best in the league at that time. Walker left us, Rose has had his problems, but when you look at the performances that they were putting in during those early seasons together, you can't knock that. You can't knock it at all. Depending on your formation, there's also right wingers that you could discuss. Aaron Lennon, who I thought was a great servant to the club for a long time. His pace, considering that he ran like with your jazz hands, I thought he was great. A really good player. And of course, then you can't not mention Darren Anderton, who, despite his nickname of Signo, actually played an awful lot of games and was quality. On his day, he was a quality player. Played for England, in the Euros, and done all right. So, right wing back Kyle Walker, or right wingers Aaron Lennon, Darren Anderton. Left wing back, obviously Danny Rose. But then you've also got to go, well, you've got David Ginola to add into that, and Gareth Bale, who, left wingers. I know it's a bit of a stretch with Bale, but it's a formation, isn't it? So centre backs, Ledley King. Don't need to say any more than that, do I really? Jan Vertonghen. It was a bit of a toss-up for me between Jan and Toby, because I liked Toby. I liked what he brought. His range of passing was excellent, and what he did sort of going forward and in the transition. But for me, I just felt that Jan was that bit more stable, better defensively. So I went for him. And the third one in that I added was Gary Mabbott, who just about sneaks in there. But then you could also look at players like Jonathan Woodgate, who, shame for him that he had such a difficult injury time, but certainly as a player when he was at Real Madrid, he was quality. Quality player. And then, of course, for his heart and for his love of the club, Michael Dawson. I think you still got to sneak him in there as an option. Midfield. Now, this is quite a difficult one, isn't it? Because the two that I put in there, Luka Modric, Rafa van der Vaart, fantastic players, absolute fantastic players. Modric still playing now, Jesus, and still winning, leagues and Champions Leagues. But then, of course, one of the best and most gifted players that I've seen in central midfield, Moussa Dembele. We still talk about him, about not replacing him. So, quality player. And I think the other one who really needs to get a mention is Michael Carrick. Who, if it wasn't for the fact that as a club we needed to sell players and stuff like that, he buggered off to Man United, as did a few others who I could mention, probably will mention in a minute. But for Tottenham, he was at the heart of everything. So another really good midfielder. And then forwards, you cannot not go for Kane. Almost there for chasing down the record goal scorer spot. 50 goals for England. His all-round contribution, dropping deep and so on, and his link up and his assists. You can't knock him. Gary Lineker for his absolute fox in the box stats and his ability to sneak a goal whenever he could. And of course, Jurgen Klinsmann. I don't even need to explain these, do I? Do I really? These are fantastic players. But then, of course, on the other side of that, you've also got to mention Heung-min Son, who, fantastic player. I can't speak highly enough of him. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and him and Kane together are an awesome combination. Dimitar Berbatov, another guy who kind of left us when we didn't really want him to, but again, great player. His stats speak for themselves. And of course, Teddy Sheringham. Although I'm not a big fan of Teddy on a personal level, because of his views on Kane should leave and so on to win trophies and stuff, because that's what he did. But that's because he's not affiliated with any one club. I mean, he's been around several clubs, so he's more likely to be a legend at Man United than he is to be a legend at Tottenham or at Millwall or somewhere like that. So those are the players that would kind of be in and around my favourite players in the Premier League era. Of course, missing out of that list is the one and only Paul Gascoigne, who doesn't get into the list because he finished just before playing for us, just before the Premier League, so doesn't get into the Premier League team. But so take from that what you will. I'm sure others will have better combinations or better views and comments about whether Len was as good or Ginola or Bow or whatever. But it's all about opinions, right? So I just thought I'd answer the question that was put to me, and hope that that covers the point. Feel free to add your teams. Feel free to comment about what you think about the names that I've dropped, whether you think I've missed anybody really key, or you think that I've got it absolutely wrong. So, but worth a punt. Rob, I hope that's all right. I hope that covers the point you were asking, and I'll be back walking in the next couple of days. So I'll see you then. Up the Spurs.